there, and welcome to Real Estate Divas. And today's subject, we are going to be talking about how to talk to your contractor and what to expect, just all the questions that real estate investors have when they're investing in flips or anything that needs a remodel. And even if you're trying to just remodel your own home, there are questions out there, how to verify all your contractors, and we have a guest today, Jess. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Jess?
Yeah, you bet. My name is Jess Marshall. I own Autograph Construction, and I've also been a real estate investor for a long time. We do storm restoration, remodeling, the whole 9 yards. Been doing it for about 25 years here in Dallas-Fort Worth. And we've seen it all, the good, the bad, the ugly, and that's why we're here to talk about how to talk to contractors, because that can be the difference between whether or not your fix and flip goes well or goes poorly.
Exactly. So in your business, do you have contractors that are on salary, or do you go out and hire subs?
Yeah, we subcontract everything, just because the all the government required healthcare and all that makes salaries difficult. But what we call our subcontractors are dedicated subcontractors. So we keep them so busy they can't go work for other people, and that's an advantage, because it's very difficult once if you lose a good guy and he goes to work for somebody else. It's hard to get them back in the fold. So keeping them busy is part of the trick.
Well, and also it's a matter of if you lose them, then you don't get them back, then you've got to replace them, and that's where a lot of trouble comes in.
Well, and I know all about that. I've got my main guy Thomas is finishing up a remodel for me this week. And then I was like, okay, well, before you run away, or where's your plan the week after? I have got this property that needs attention. So, and he's like, well, I kind of already set up with somebody else. And I'm like, right. I'm like, is that really important? He goes, for you, I will push them. That's going to be okay.
Well, and right there, you got a contractor that one likes you get preferential treatment, and he's going to stick around for a second.
And this is one I gush about all the time.
Yeah.
Which is important, when you have a contractor that you love working with, letting them know how much you love them is a great way to keep them around.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think positive energy always goes further than negative energy and having to come down on somebody with a hammer. I like positive energy. I always like to try to promote competition too. We've got an entire roster of subs, and sometimes I'll bring them all through a job that we're about to start, so they can see what's on the horizon. And if they're maybe not pulling their weight quite like they should, we'll give that job to another one of them, and they can see, hey, I got to really bring I gotta bring the quality, and I got to bring the communication and the consistency in order to keep getting the good jobs.
Exactly.
And,
so are they bidding? And they're bidding. Actively bidding against each other? Or not?
On my stuff, on our stuff, we tell them what the job's going to pay. So I think a lot of times we'll ask them, hey, what do you think? And to me, that slows it down. So what I like to do is come right at the subcontractors with, hey, this is what this job is going to pay. If it's too low, a lot of them will communicate, and we'll get into this a little bit more here in the show. But a lot of these guys are hustlers, and they're trying to make sure that they're busy, but they're not just busy now. They're busy, those 3 or 4 weeks through the holidays, because that's a lot of times when things shut down, and they gotta feed their families. So one thing to be aware of, and that I'm always aware of, especially if we're about to blood maybe a new subcontractor, is how busy are you? Because they'll tell you, I can start on this next week, but then you get them started and you show up and there's one guy and some tools, and you come back at lunch and there's one guy and some tools,
right?
And that goes on for a couple of days, and so it's definitely a balancing act, right? Because busy people get things done. If they're just sitting at home watching, reruns of Dr. Phil, they're not out there with a good crew making sure that they're not.
Well, and their time management, right? And that goes, I think, for anybody. I know the busier I am, the more productive I am, because I'm trying to hit all these marks and fit everything in, and managing my time so well so that I get everything done at the end of the day. If you've got all the time in the world, well, then you've got all the time in the world to finish it.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, going back to your point of showing up on the job site and seeing one guy, there are sometimes where it's necessary, you know, and my main guy, who I love, I will show up, and some days there's a beehive of activity, and some days he's like, hey, so-and-so, it's like on me, I'm really sorry, and it's him, is that, you know, I know he doesn't work weekends, so we're not working Saturdays and Sundays, but all of a sudden, you know, he'll pull a Saturday and go, hey, we had catch up on this.
You bet.
So if you've got faith in your contractor and you know that they're going to do that, it's where those guys that, you know, will show up on a job, then they're going to take a day off because they got to go bid another job. And then they're going to be, you know, then splitting time and you see them every
Or
other
splitting
day.
their crew, like you said, or they're getting one guy and they've got 5 somewhere else.
Yeah.
As far as your experience, because, you know, you stated you've been doing it for a really long time, what was one of your, or what's one of the biggest things that you would say to completely new, or just a homeowner trying to get something done, but completely new investors that are looking for contractors? Because that's really one of the biggest hurdles when you're getting started.
Yeah, man, I mean, when you find a property, you're excited, you're ready to roll, you've checked all the boxes right, you found it, you know what it's going to cost to fix it, you know what you're going to sell it for, you got your money lined up, your hard money lender, you feel like you can trust them, all that.
You know what it should cost.
That's the problem. I think that a lot of people get behind the 8 ball. And so if it's your first, so I talk to a lot of people, it's their first flip. And I always tell people you got to start small, right? You don't hit the gym and you're not trying to squat 600 pounds on the first day, right? You've got to ramp up. So I think the best thing to do when you're trying to vet a subcontractor, or say it's, you know, your first flip, or even your homeowner, you're trying to get your countertops fixed, or your fence replaced, or your roof done. How about this? How about, hey, I'd like to swing by and take a look at a couple of the jobs that you have working now. So that does a couple things. These are some hacks. Number one, you know where they're working now. If they flake on you, go knock on that door and say, hey,
you know how to get a hold of that guy?
yeah, where'd Jeff Smith go? He was supposed to help me out with my fence. I gave him a deposit, he disappeared. So number one. Number two, you can see the quality of their work. And if they tell you, hey, I'm doing a landscaping job, you know, up around the corner, swing by, watch the guys work. Number three, get the phone number for their wife, for their brother, for their sister. Tell them I need 3 references, 3 emergency contacts. And I like to wait to get those 3 emergency contacts until they've started and they're going to be expecting a paycheck. Because now you don't get your paycheck without those emergency contacts. And then I've got to have the phone number for your second man in command, or your second lady in command. Because if you're not here, I need to know who to talk to. As things come up all the time in construction, if you're not prepared for that, then you just need to go work at Home Depot. You know, because it's hard. Stuff comes up every single day.
Every day. Well, and so my question is, I know that I learned the hard way, is I also, once they're on the job, what identification do you have? And take a picture of that. You know, I do try to, you know, depending on how big the job is, get them to sign a W-9. And then take a picture of their license plate.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's great. You know, look, I try not to play the gotcha game with anybody who's working for me. I think most good guys understand that there are a lot of shady characters out here who will rip you off if you give them the time and if you give them the opportunity. So let's keep good accountability. And a lot of that's your contact info. I think that as long as everyone understands we've all got a goal and we're all going to push toward that goal. And then what I like to do is tell them, hey, this is the timeline, this is the budget. If you finish under budget and you finish faster, I'm going to split whatever that budget savings is. I'm going to split that with you.
And that's a really great tip.
That's a love that
because I mean, you want to set the rules in favor of the way you want it to go. And so if you are offering them to split whatever profit comes off of that, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm not trying to rip anybody off, and I think you got to understand that if someone gives you a really low bid, then something's missing. So whether it's the quality or the communication or the consistency, something's going to be missing if you're getting a low bid. That's why I don't bid things out. I like to know, I like to tell them this is what I'm going to pay, this is how long I'm going to give you to do the work, and if you exceed my expectations, I'm 100% going to reward you, because incentivizing people, in my opinion, it goes back to that positivity.
So do you also have a damages clause then?
Yeah, I mean, I think that more than anything,
if
the
they go
punitive,
over, right?
yeah,
because
so,
if they go over the timeline and you really needed this done in, say, 4 weeks,
right.
and all of a sudden it's 6 weeks, that, right there, that's
Yeah.
a lot of holding costs.
Yeah, we talked before the show kicked off about what's it going to take to get something done on time. So if you think that you're going to start a flip and then you are just going to sit at your day job and come over during your lunch hour, or come swing by a couple nights a week and everything's going to just come off without a hitch, you're smoking crack, and you need to go just stick with your day job.
Just stick with your day job.
So
so many people that do that.
It's
so many people.
There's a lot of gurus who tell you can do that.
I'm guilty of that right now. Am I hanging out there? I'm talking to Tom this morning on text, and I go, hey, I'm running behind. He's like, are you coming? What time are you showing up here? I want to make sure I don't miss you. And I'm like, it's probably going to be after.
Yeah,
after the show, because I'm like, I don't know.
What about, maybe install a Ring doorbell at the job site?
Oh, I have that.
So you can, and that's awesome. That's great. So you can see who's coming, who's going. I like to put one inside as well. Obviously don't want anything walking off. So, we all have different operations of different sizes. So if you got somebody working for you, you can jump around to your job sites and keep an eye on people. Listen, they do not respect what you do not inspect. And I always tell my people, my managers, you've got to keep eyes on the guys.
Yep.
And the problem is that, everybody has life come up. So a sick child, man, COVID was just, and it has been very difficult to work around. I've had to decide to set up a daycare almost, because kids, parents can't send the kids to school or daycare. Both parents got to work.
How many projects did you have going on during quarantine?
Yeah, man, somewhere between the restoration and the real estate investing, in the 75 to 80 job. Yeah, so it's been a real challenge.
What a nightmare.
Right,
But but then you're opening a full daycare.
Well, it's been
full daycare.
Sometimes you just have to get creative to get the job done. But back to keeping the guys on track. So the punitive thing that you talked about. So what I like to do is, if I tell you you have 4 weeks, and at the end of 2 weeks, I can see we got more than 2 weeks to do. Then I'm sitting down with them on the job site. Usually I've got food and something to drink there, and then we're talking about, okay, here's what's got to happen. In the next 3 days, I need this done, which means you're going to have to bring more guys in. If that's not done in 3 days, then I'm bringing people in, and I'm going to have to finish this myself.
Well,
and so
that
probation.
means you don't get,
so that's,
you don't get
that's
paid.
your, so that is your punitive, but do you have fines, like if they don't meet their mark?
No, I don't do that up front.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to start you off, and I want you to know that I trust you.
Right.
And I believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. And now we're going to see if your actions meet your words. And I'm not going to be breathing down your neck every day, but I'm giving you until this date to have this done, this date to have this done. And then we've got to separate the forest from the trees too, right? So is there time on a small flip to put together a full flow chart? No, there's not.
Right.
But I can definitely say, hey, demo needs to be done by Thursday, and then by the end of next Tuesday, I need all this framing, and we got to be ready for a framing inspection and be ready to start running MEP through this thing.
Well, then so for the people out there that are new and it's their first investment, obviously your experience, you can tell them, you can tell contractors, like, this is how much the job costs. If they're coming from a completely different realm, and they don't have any idea what job costs might be, what would be your tips or suggestions
for brand new people?
For brand new,
because we've got a lot of brand new investors who are watching this and going, God, I don't even know. They're sitting there looking at their original budget. They might have gotten from a wholesaler who probably doesn't.
Yeah, or off Home Advisor.
Yeah.
They'll do estimated cost for thing, which is just absolute trash. So If it's your first flip, you need to understand that it's like taking a college course. And if you've ever taken a college course or a tradesman course, you paid for that, didn't you?
Yeah.
To get that education, you paid for that.
Absolutely.
So on your first flip, if you expect to bank and go to Tahiti for 2 weeks, I think you are again smoking crack. So what I would recommend that you do is you treat your first flip like a college course or like a trades course. You're going to pay, and you should expect to break even. That's what I tell people. Now, that's not popular. That's not something that a guru says.
You're not going to find that on HGTV.
Well, I don't have a yellow Lambo out front, so I'm not one of these guru idiots who blow smoke. What I will say is if you want to make this profitable for yourself in the long run, you've got to break it down into bite size. So if your first job, you break even, everything goes well, you are able to establish, what if you establish a really good relationship with a sub who can be a GC as well, who could maybe run the whole job or most of the job for you, boom, you are ahead of the game. And you also use that job to make sure that your lender is good, to make sure that your processes and your systems are good too. How did you find the job? How did you buy the job? How did you finance it? How did you fix it? All those things. If job one is at the end of that, you graduate with a degree in flipping, well then all the jobs after that are going to be more and more and more profitable and more efficient for you.
Yep. The biggest issue, especially with new rehabbers out there, new flippers, is a lot of times they make the mistake that they go in there and they over-renovate.
Well, because they renovate like they want to have it.
Well, they're like, it needs to be
and expectations and
No, and it is, and that's the one thing I say, especially with brand new real estate investors. The likelihood is you're going to decide, I've got to have this sink, I've got to have this faucet. Instead of going and getting the builder's grade at Home Depot, they're putting in some, crazy thing that they
Absolutely.
found online, and I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who are in real estate and real estate investing, they have a passion for it, right? They like it. They watch Chip and JoJo. They're like, man, I want to do that. I want to be that.
I can do
this. Give me some boots. Let's do demo day. Let's film it. Let's put it on Facebook.
Let's do demo day.
Yeah, bro.
Everybody likes
for
demo day.
HGTV is about the biggest farce I've ever seen.
It's trash.
Because they show up, a lot of the guys, they're wearing khakis and a button down, and they're in like $1,000 shoes.
Right.
Those guys are not swinging a hammer.
No, and you can tell because their form is terrible when they film it.
I know.
Yeah.
No, and it's funny. It's so am I guilty of doing a lot of my own renovations 15 years ago when I started?
Right.
I am so guilty
You got to
of
start
it.
somewhere.
But I learned how to tile, and I learned how to sheetrock,
Well,
and I
it was
learned how to
education.
refinish
What's
floors.
awesome?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to do any of those tasks, you have something at your disposal you did not 15 years ago. YouTube. You can go on YouTube and you can teach
learn
yourself how to
anything.
do everything. Now, are you going to do it really, really well the first time? Probably not.
Yeah.
So, and back to the point that you made, if you got a passion for it and you've got a passion for architecture, you want to spend your money on some fun things.
Yep.
So plan out what those are. Where do I want, can I afford a really nice sink? Do I want to put that in the master? Do I want to put that in the kitchen? Do I want a really cool touch faucet somewhere? And do I want to put a body shower in? So if you break it down, let's figure out the couple of fun things we can do.
Yep.
And then the rest of the build is going to be, a blank canvas for your buyer. And it's well done, nice fit, efficient finishes.
And I saw this in one of your recent YouTube videos. So I think this one maybe was out last week before, and I really liked it. It was in your bathroom, and you're like, it wasn't big enough to put a tub in.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't big enough to put a tub in. So we opened it up and put in a lot of light coming in.
Yeah.
And then, selecting the right colors.
That huge bench.
Yeah.
Huge bench. And it looked amazing.
Thank you.
And it looked, very designer. So.
Well, I think too, and this is again, so when we talk about flipping, you got to find the property, and then all of the things it takes to get it to the end to sell. There's a ton of them, right? But what I also really like to do is bring in my realtor. Because a realtor, if you trust him or her, is going to be like, look, I understand. So my first realtor, on that job was like, look, I can't sell this house if you don't have a tub in the master. And I said, okay, so here's the thing, realtor, there's no room for it here. And over in the great room, I expanded that great room and I put 16-foot vaulted ceilings in. So there's give and take. And she didn't like that at all. New realtors.
Realtor. So that was first realtor, right?
Yeah. So we all go.
She don't work for you no more. She goes bye-bye.
Yes. Yeah. Little too much of that, and she doesn't work for me anymore. So if you got a good relationship with your realtor, listen.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are like, no, this is my idea, and we get emotionally invested. Mm-hmm. Well, what's the end goal here? Winning is closing at a profit. So whatever it takes to get to that end goal, let's make business decisions. And a realtor can help us with that.
Absolutely. So that's what I do as a real estate broker is, and that's how I got into the investment side of things to begin with, was because, being a realtor, working with investors, especially with the last, bubble that burst or whatever, that was the only people, those were the only people out there doing anything at the time. But really getting them to trust me and go, look, nobody wants this product. That's not what's going to sell. I know that that's what the cheapest, and it is an upgrade from what is in here, but it's going to take me forever to sell this.
Yeah.
And some people listen, some people don't, but you're not out there seeing, if you're an investor, you're not out there seeing this every day. You're not out there with the clients who are buying the houses. So it's important. And I know that investors and realtors tend to kind of butt heads a little bit because, both of them have their viewpoints, but also there's a lot of realtors out there that don't have a real perspective of what it takes to do investing,
Well, and one of my, of course, most successful flips, which Jay saw a year ago, it didn't take that much time, but I relied on the realtor that I found to go over every day, see what my GC was doing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because it was out in the boonies.
It was out, it was 2.5 hours from Dallas. I kind of just got caught with this thing.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to flip it. And really, I was going to wholesale it.
Yeah.
And then, the first realtor I sent over there, she goes, have you been in here? This really needs some carpet, paint, appliances, maybe a few other things. And I go, all right, well, maybe I will flip this.
Right.
I'm like, I've always been anti, if you can't drive every day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day to that flip, you have no business flipping it.
Right.
But in this case, I'm like,
it worked.
Some cosmetic stuff,
Well, and having a good realtor that was right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That could recommend.
Recommend. And then she sold me on the staging, which,
Absolutely. Listen, we could talk all day about good and bad realtors.
Oh, yeah.
There's way more bad ones than good ones.
I agree. Well, it's too easy to get your license.
Yeah, and I don't even think that the 1090 is I don't think 10% do 90. I think 5% do 95.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen and dealt with a lot of realtors, both in the restoration business and in the real estate investing business.
Yep.
So 20 years ago, I was a high school teacher.
Yeah.
Absolutely detest the saying that people are like, oh, those who can't do teach.
Right. Yeah.
And then I got into real estate and I'm like, oh, hell no. Those who can't do become realtors. No, I know. No,
Hey,
seriously.
no, I can fully admit, I've been in it, 16 years now, and I can fully admit there's some doozies.
Well, and there's, I talk to so many people, they're like, oh, I have my real estate license. Haven't done a damn thing with it in 5 years, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm sure this is a family program, but I mean,
it's obviously a family program.
The flake factor amongst
is high.
Residential realtors is just out of control. I mean, a lot of them are just flat out frauds. Their knowledge isn't there.
I wouldn't have said frauds.
And there's some flash and some dash, but there's very little substance.
Yep.
And I think you got to be real careful that in the contracting game too, right? A lot of guys, if they're talking that really good game, that's really cool. You're really good at talking. Now, can you fucking build me a house or not?
Exactly.
So, we'll see.
Most realtors, they like to just slap their face on a sign and stick it in the front yard.
And will say that they're investor friendly when they've watched some HGTV or YouTube videos. Because I don't know how many houses that I've walked through where I'm walking through, pre-COVID, I'm walking through and there's 15 other people walking through and they may be bidding on this house and somebody's there with their realtor and their realtor's talking about busting out this this wall and doing this, and I'm just wanting to scream at their clients going, run for your life.
Right.
Yes.
Run for your life. Like, no.
Yeah, that person is seeing too much, love it or list it.
You just lost, you just lost every bit of profit. You're going to lose your ass.
I'd like to join in.
Yeah, Ryan's like, I cannot be quiet.
Well, only because y'all are talking shit about realtors. Like,
and he likes to give me a hard time.
Hey, by the way,
It's easy to do.
Jay Lee is a realtor. I
Yeah.
love Jay Lee, so the divas are allowed to bash realtors.
Yeah. I feel like I am one. I can do this.
She's a
I've
broker.
dated a few. I feel like I can bash them too.
all I was going to say is back in my Tim Harridge, Jason Riney days, we used to work with a realtor, and I don't even remember her name anymore, but she would send us a deal like once every 4 or 5 months. Once we were like, yeah, we want this, she would immediately go to Choctaw Casino.
Oh my goodness.
Like, before it even went to title, before it even closed. So you know,
she spent that money before she
spent
had
that
it.
money
Yeah.
the day she got a contract signed, even though we'll
We all
close in 7
know.
to 10 days. Well, that's still 7 to 10 days away.
And anything can happen.
Yeah. Anyway, but I just thought that was funny because I
Yeah.
love Choctaw.
Because you love Choctaw. You just want to talk about gambling.
His little
Yeah, I think too, the realtor contractor relationship is weird as well, because you'll have a realtor who really wants, say, let's write a contract on this. They bring in a contractor and he's like, so if you really want me to tear down this wall and tear down that wall, then I got to put an I-beam up there, and that's going to cost you $7,500.
and you just blew your budget.
Right.
Or got close. $7,500 shouldn't blow your
If
budget.
the
but-
realtor's looking at it at an ARV and at a reno budget from a wholesaler,
Yeah.
those are not worth the paper they're printed
exactly.
on.
Yeah.
Those are also fraudulent.
Yeah.
They're completely fraudulent.
Exactly.
So, all right, and so going forward, during quarantine, during COVID, you're doing 75.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of restoration jobs too.
Restoration, which is good, right? Because
Yeah.
that's not your own investment capital
Right.
on the line.
Yeah.
Looking forward, I got into there's a Facebook group that I love. It's women real estate investors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so I love on this Facebook group kind
I
of.
saw your
Did you see my thing?
what,
I'm going
night before last or something.
I couldn't help but jump in on this, and usually I'm not going to be too judgmental, but
Right.
she's like, I've got $30,000. What should I do? And you've got all of these people who obviously have done nothing.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
have
this
been,
would be their
maybe
first. Yeah.
right, and they're like, one lady was like, go buy a skating rink or something. I was like, okay, you have $30,000. Go find a property to buy, but don't listen to any of this.
Shiplap. The answer is always shiplap.
With shiplap, seriously, I'm looking at that.
Would look
But then
porcelain.
I find people are like, well, what are you talking about? I go, and definitely don't flip right now necessarily. Especially, I was talking more to brand new people, because
Well, like we just said, your first one is your education.
Yeah, if you're not looking at it that way, then you're not looking at it the right way. Or you are listening to someone who is telling you something you want to hear.
Which there's a ton of those.
I lost.
That's what most of the people in this
are.
game are.
Right,
Yeah.
and I lost I don't know, somewhere like $12,000 or $14,000 on my first flip that I my first full scale flip that I ever did.
Well, and we were just talking before the show about it's humiliating whenever you've been doing it for a while and you know that the contractor side of things, you know how to pull you've been doing it.
Yep.
And then you still get bit.
I've got Jess here, and I'm not going to go, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. Great. You want to go flip a house? Cool, go flip a house.
Yeah.
You've got other people telling me, oh, flip a house, go buy a house. I'm like, are you out of your minds? Why would you tell somebody who's never done a real estate deal to get into house flipping
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
This is not the time to do that.
Yeah, so I met with a guy. He's an old friend, and he hit me up, said, "Hey, let's get a coffee." And anybody who does, I'm pretty free with my advice, just because I have been very bummed out when I've reached out to people and asked them for advice,
Yeah.
and they kind of hoard their knowledge. I don't feel like
I
that's the
don't-
right
I
way to
hate
be.
that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense
It doesn't
either.
make sense that there's enough for everybody. That's
Well,
that
high
scarcity
tide raises
mentality.
all ships,
Yeah,
man. I want
exactly.
everyone I know to be crushing the game.
Yep.
And if I can offer you some advice, a lot of my advice is based on failures, is based on lessons that I learned. I can tell you, if all I did was win, I mean, I don't know, I'd be on a beach somewhere.
Well,
No one
Yeah.
just wins.
No. Well,
I
you
mean,
don't learn
Richard
anything.
Branson
You
has
don't-
had companies
yeah.
go out of business.
You don't learn anything when you're winning.
No.
I mean, for the
you
most part, you don't.
True
You
story.
learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You win or you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that quote.
Yeah, no, but seriously, for you, I think you're going to sail through whatever's going on. You're smart enough to notice the downtrends.
Well,
During the last one, I got caught with 8
yeah.
freaking flips.
You talking about 07, 08?
Yeah. And all of a sudden the market came out. Like, I remember waking up in the middle of the night, August
Yeah.
2008, and I was like, I'm screwed.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
time to day drink, man.
I know. I'm like, I'm just screwed here, you know. And so, yeah, did I work my ass off and get out of it? Yes, I did. Did
Yeah.
I file bankruptcy or foreclose? No, I didn't lose a single property. But at the same time,
Good for you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked
That's what
really
you have to
hard.
do. Yeah. No, well, no one saw that coming. The only people who saw that coming were people who were betting against it and who were just hedge
There were
bettors anyways.
there was like a handful of people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Yeah, I think there's a couple movies about those people.
couple
movies
made
about
about
those
those people. Yeah.
Well-
yeah.
So, as far as, again, we've got it out there as far as what newbies, anybody new going out there, like the biggest things that you should be looking for. But what about, all right, like we just mentioned before the show, or we were talking about before the show, what about you're seasoned and now what do you do when you get bid?
One thing though, we should talk about newbies. So the biggest question is how much money should you pay them up front? For me personally, I don't ever pay for labor up front.
Right.
I have no problem paying for materials.
Yeah. I buy a lot of my material myself.
Yep.
I also like to incentivize, another little trick to incentivize them, but you have to trust them.
Right.
I will tell them, okay, this. So if we're going to split a huge renovation up into some sections, I tell them, hey, the labor and material on this I've got budgeted for $15,000. I'm going to give you that, and I need everything done in that chunk of work, and then whatever you're able to save on the material, you keep. So they're out hunting for deals.
Yeah.
Now, to get started, if I was a newbie and I was getting started, I would buy all my material myself, and I would not pay for labor until it was done.
Yep.
And that's tough. So that's very time consuming, buying material.
Yep.
So you say whatever you can save on material, but I would assume you have some look that you're going for, but you have to
Yes.
say, all right,
I'm
it
talking
needs
about the
to
raw.
be like this.
Yeah, raw.
material.
So framing, drywall, insulation, stuff like that, where
Yeah.
you can find deals on that.
There's
so
a building site right down the street that we could
Yes.
just, load our truck up to 3 a.m. I'll get
sure
all
there's
the
a couple
2x4s.
Yeah.
I bet there's a few Ring doorbells with night vision over there, so you might want to watch yourself. Yeah. No, never pay for labor up front. If somebody needs money for labor up front, that's a problem. Now, if I got them trapped on 3 flips,
Yeah.
and I've got 3 flips, and they go from one to the next, and they got to make payroll, then yes. But you've always got to stay out in front of your guys because
Yeah.
you absolutely never know what's around. To be honest with you, you never know what's around the next weekend. A lot of crazy shit happens on weekends.
Yep.
So guys showing up on Monday mornings, that's not
Can
always
be an
guaranteed.
issue.
Crapshoot.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't pay anybody until Saturday afternoons, and a lot of my guys do work Saturdays, so I don't pay Friday. I pay Saturday. That means everyone does show up Saturday.
Saturday.
To work.
And again, I
Yeah.
have a very good working relationship
Yeah.
with my main guy.
That's awesome.
And he just said at the beginning of this, he goes, just for cash flow purposes, because I got to pay all these guys, can you sell me money on Fridays? And
Right.
I'm like, absolutely. And that's another thing, paying contractors, before I hire somebody, how can I pay you?
Absolutely, I pay
Yeah.
everyone electronically.
I need to, because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to be in, sometimes, I'm going to come over and see it, but I don't want to have to rely on going to a bank or withdrawing money or going and getting cashier's check, and never hand cash to anybody.
Yeah.
If anybody's watching this, do not
No,
pay
never
cash.
pay cash. Also, if you are paying people electronically, it's so easy, and you have multiple jobs, it's easy to tag the payments.
Yep.
So when you go back at the end of the month, you're not having to use a handwritten ledger or anything.
it's great for bookkeeping.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
also
yeah.
the same reason why you should buy all your materials with credit cards.
Yep.
You
Well,
buy
the
them with a credit
points,
card. Yes. Yeah, Capital One Spark, man. That thing's a life changer.
I'm an American Airlines girl.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So in addition to my American Airlines credit card points,
Yeah.
then I also buy through the e-commerce site.
Yeah.
And I get an airline mile for every dollar I spend at Home
That's
Depot.
awesome. Yeah, that's great.
You can
That's
also get it
amazing.
on electricity.
Now, when we say
nuts.
don't,
Yeah.
when we say don't pay up front, you did say you have kind of mile markers for them. Like, I want this done. This
Right.
has to be done in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So, in 2 weeks, once they've accomplished that, then do you pay a portion? Because a lot of these guys, they can't wait 4 weeks for the job to be done.
So but splitting things up. If you're just getting started in your own business, you got to set your own goals, right?
Yep.
So I need weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals. You got to do the same thing for your guys. So if you tell them this has to be done in 2 weeks, and the first 3-4 days of the job, no one's at the job, okay, I got a procrastinator on my hands. He might be able to move heaven and earth in 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
but I highly doubt it. So I'm saying to him, hey, I don't see progress. We got a 2-week deadline, and it's breathing down our necks. So I really need to see over there. I'm always meeting people face to face when there's a problem.
Yep.
Not to chew them out or dog cuss them, but just to walk through and just be like, hey, so what's the plan? And when is the plan going to be executed here? Because
Yep.
we have an agreement, but I'm running a business here. Every flip is its own little business.
Right.
Exactly.
And so you cannot manage what you can't measure. So if you give someone a 2-week mile marker, then you got to hold them to it. But I would say every 3 days, maybe, hey, let's meet over there at lunch. I'm bringing the burgers. Let's walk through it together.
Well, and for all of the new real estate investors, and in fact, some people who've been doing this a few years, my number one question when they start talking about their new flip is, first question I ever ask them is, what is your daily hold rate? What is it? And you've got to take whatever your hard money costs, your property taxes, your insurance, your utilities,
Yep.
any of that stuff. You take it, you add it all up, divide it by 30, and that'll tell you what it costs to have
that property,
have the
and nobody
privilege of having that
there,
property for
yeah,
you.
Right,
and nobody
man.
there on it doing
Yeah.
anything.
And it will shock you the amount of investors who've actually, this is maybe their 4th or 5th, they have no clue what their day. And I'm
Right.
like, I guarantee you, if you knew you were burning through $200 or $220 a day, you're going to make sure that somebody's on your site, and you're going to make sure that you're keeping tabs on them
Yep.
on the schedule that
Absolutely.
they've set, because you don't want it to.
Well, that's
All of a sudden
putting
go a
a
week
real
over.
number to
God,
just
yes.
it's only been a couple of days.
Absolutely.
It's only been a couple of days, right? It's been 3 or 4 days, and all of a sudden it's
$1,000.
$1,000 that you've lost.
Yep.
And really in the flipping game, all we really care about is the scoreboard at the end.
Right.
What was that dollar amount? What was that return on investment? How much did you make for really blowing 3 or 4 months of your life?
Yeah, so the scoreboard at the end is super important. If you're playing basketball, you got 4 quarters, right? So if you lose in the first quarter, you got to win in the second, third, and fourth. If you lose in the first 2, you got to win in the third. So if you are losing, if you're behind the 8 ball and you're an investor and your guy isn't showing up on time, get down to the brass tacks. Hey man, we got it. Let's slow it down. What's your plan for the next 2 days? How many guys? Where's my material? What time are you going to show up? What time are you going to leave? And also, if you got somebody who's letting you down, hold them accountable. Okay, so I need a photo from you when you show up in the morning tomorrow, and I also need a text message from you right when you wake up, so I know that you're mobilizing and you're
And
getting
you're coming.
going.
And that's
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
that's good. And a lot of investors, especially new investors, are afraid to talk to their contractors about this. And
Well,
the
they're
most
not used to
important
managing people.
right. And the most
Yeah.
important thing to remember is they work for you.
Right.
So you have to hold them accountable. And if you want it to be Lord of the Flies, you know, where there is nobody keeping charge, yeah, your flip is going to take a hell of a lot longer.
That's a really tough one, you know. So you do not need to be Adolf Hitler to your guys.
No.
But you 100%, they need to respect you, and they respect whoever's writing the checks.
Yeah. Right.
And so if you're afraid to talk to your contractor, then have your wife talk to them for you, or your husband talk. I'm not kidding. Or your husband talk to you. Some people are a little bit better with confrontation.
Yeah.
I think as a flipper, as you start to lose money, your fear of confrontation is going to gradually or greatly subside.
Yeah.
I mean, you also find the people who all of a sudden they're like an ostrich and they're burying their head in the sand.
Right.
And it's like, no. You've got to be proactive and go towards, go towards your goal and go talk to somebody right away. And honestly, you don't have to be a dick.
No.
I mean, I'm not going to pull off. I'm not going to pull off dick.
Yeah.
I'm not. Did you like that word?
I think you can pull
you
off
should make her a
it.
But I'm
meme.
not. I'm serious. Yeah, that's quote. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pull off dick. There you go. Quote unquote.
I think it's tough. So you've got someone that you can trust. I have people who I can trust, and I've found them through a lot of searching. Right? I mean, it's not like you go in the yellow pages and trustworthy guy 972-555. I mean, how do you find them? So
Exactly.
I like to find people who are out working. So if I see a job site and it's being well managed, I am more than willing to run in there and go, "Hey man, what's up? What's your number? Hey, I'm a contractor. I'd love to put you to work." A lot of those guys will say yes.
Yep.
Now they're probably, if they're good at their job, very, very busy, because those guys who are good, consistent communicators,
it's like
they're
you
doing the
keeping
same
your
thing.
great guys busy.
Yep.
Obviously, it's the same one. Obviously he's working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't know. You can find them a lot of places.
Yep.
If you do want to go somewhere like Angie's List or Home Advisor, if you put them to work on something little, and there's a problem, Angie's List, Home Advisor step in there for you. Good Contractors List does that too.
So
Yeah.
I have my trick for finding really good contractors and how I found my beloved Tom,
Right.
my beloved Tomas.
Yeah.
Love this guy. He answered a Craigslist ad in 2009.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, 2008, 2009, a long time ago, and he said, I just put, it was an awful amount, $100 for 5 hours of work. Hey, I need these things done on the rehab. He showed up and probably did $1,000 worth of work for me.
Wow.
And he's been working for me ever since.
That's a great way.
And he never
You
complained.
got lucky.
He never complained
I'm
once.
just gonna put that out.
know,
You got
but-
super lucky.
The thing with that is, that was on Craigslist, and you go into like gigs,
Well, I
gigs
mean,
offered and stuff like that.
Most
I
people aren't
actually
on
have
Craigslist
found,
now.
it's a low percentage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to discount that.
Yeah.
But there were so many times that I did that as like a tryout.
Yes.
$100 cash.
Yeah.
$100 cash at the end of 5 hours. This is what I need done.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a great way to get demo done.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and then those guys doing demo are like, okay, well, this was fun, but I
do
also
I do
do
framing,
this.
drywall.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
I go, as soon as somebody tells you, I do blah 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 blah. I do like painting sheetrock, blah 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 blah, and it's like a list of 10 things. I always ask, what is your number one skill?
Right.
What are
Yeah.
you great at? And they have one specialty.
You
Yeah.
bet. Well, a lot of them know people.
Yeah.
So good people, they know people. You birds of a feather flock together.
Yep.
Craigslist is good. Facebook groups are okay too.
Yep.
Hey, I got a job here. Listen, if you think that the first guy who you meet is going to be your one and only, it's probably not going to be the way it works, especially
No.
if you got two going at one time.
Right.
But finding someone who's bilingual and who does communicate consistently, I also like to test them.
Yeah.
Right. So 9 or 10 p.m. Hey, what's going on tomorrow? If I get a text right back, I know this is someone who's super communicative.
Who's on
Now,
it.
I understand we all
Yeah.
have families, we all have a personal life, and living a balanced life is part of being a good, a
Human
good
being.
human.
Yeah.
But if I can't get a hold of you, and if I text you on the weekends, and then Monday comes around, no one's there, and you tell me, well, I don't work on the weekends, and Sunday is sacred, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to blow you up on Sunday, but
Yeah.
I need to know who's going to be there Monday, how many people what's going to be accomplished. And if that's beyond the realm of what you want to do, then I can't work with you. That's not going to work for me.
Well, and again, that right there is just setting up. You're the one in charge. You're the one paying. You're the one writing the checks or sending the money, and so you're setting up your own rules.
Absolutely.
Have you ever run into a problem with release of liens and like having them sign anything that says, "Oh, I've been paid 100% for the work I've done on this property"?
No, and it's a lot like that first emergency contact and W-9 setup. So if it's a new person, a new sub, a new GC that I'm working with, first payday comes around, I shoot them over everything electronically. I need this all filled out before I can release your payment.
Yep.
And it's everything. I like to get conditional waivers too, because you never know. What if somebody gets hit by a bus?
Right.
I don't want the wife, the girlfriend, the brother-in-law coming and trying to lien my property.
Yep.
And then obviously, yes, at the end, everything's got to be signed off, because you never know who's going to try to mess with you lien-wise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's super important.
No, absolutely.
Listen, that paycheck is valuable to them. You can get darn near anything signed if that paycheck is on the line. Let's not be unscrupulous about it, but let's also be smart about it. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, and also, when you're dealing with with all different kinds of contractors, you're dealing with people that, okay, if I did a good job, I know I can get paid by you, because they get screwed over quite a bit as
All the
well.
time.
And so
I hear
if
that.
they
I hear
know-
that from so many guys.
All the time.
That some jerky contractor
All the time.
screwed them over, and
got
I feel
all the work
terrible
out
for
of them.
It's
and then,
happening
well,
right
damn.
now.
Yeah.
No,
Today,
I know.
Today is a Friday,
know.
and it's happening all over right now.
And so if they finally find somebody who, hey, I can do good work, I can bring my crew, and I know I'm going to get paid, so I can pay them and we can feed our families, well then, it's a win-win.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to be super careful too. We talked about this right before. If you think that you're just going to have one guy and he tells you, I can do this, and this, that's great and that's awesome. But I'll believe it when I see it. And it's very important to have a backup plan.
Right.
If you don't have a backup plan and your back is against the wall and you need an electrical inspection before you can cover it with drywall, or plumbing inspection or mechanical, and your guys, hey, my guy, it was my brother-in-law, but he's not coming. You have
He's
to be able
MIA.
to get someone there.
Right.
Because you got that daily burn rate you're fighting. And so having a roster is super important. Hey, I got my A, my B, and my C options. Maybe D, E, and F as well.
Yep.
Because at any given time, you're going to need them. Believe me, COVID has made that very, very obvious
Yep.
to all of us in the
Right.
contracting and the remodeling game for sure.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So one of the big tips, because I know we're getting close to the end of our show or whatever, but one of the big tips for people that are already in the industry, like I mentioned earlier, because we were talking about how humbling it is, and you're just like, you beat yourself up.
Oh, yeah.
How did I get bit? I know what the heck I'm doing. How did
Yeah.
I get bit? So
Still happens.
yeah, it still happens, and so just because you get bit doesn't mean that you're terrible or you can't be in this industry. It's just going to teach you a lesson. But like, here you are dealing with it now. What would you have done differently?
Yeah, I think supervision is very important. The last time I got bit, it's because I had a manager managing the project. So when you try to grow and scale, you have to trust people. You have to delegate. Well, part of that is you're going to figure out what some people can and can't do.
Yep.
And there's all kinds of people out there who are going to tell you, hey, my bandwidth is huge, man. Give it to me. I can get it done.
Yeah.
Pretty much if I hear my bandwidth is huge again from someone, I'm not going to call them back.
Again.
So
That would also be the other thing. It's you get burned by a certain type of maybe symbol on a business card enough times.
yeah.
I see that
Yeah.
symbol on a business
the
card.
one you make sushi out of.
And I'm like,
Right.
boop, pass.
Game
and I'm
over.
like, okay.
That's great. You do whatever you want on Sundays, but this is business, and if you're using that to try to hook business, I don't know about that. And
Yeah.
I think too that starting small again. If you've got if it's your first flip, it needs to be small. It needs to be easy. It needs to be bite-sized. Start with a condo. Start with a townhouse.
Well,
Start
and
with
if
a
you
small single
lose money,
family.
that you don't lose everything.
Exactly. And that way you can start your new guy on the demo, and then he can go to framing. Framing's pretty simple. It's not rocket science. And then if he's got connections who can do mechanical, electrical, plumbing, move on to that. But you've always then got your roster that you can fall back on. If you
Well,
need to.
I mean, I used to always find my subs on Craigslist, gigs offered, or
Yeah.
on Facebook, and I'll just put out, hey, I need this. But I would schedule out my flip, and I would use a specific guy for a different,
I'd break here, sheetrock.
I'd break
here.
that job
Yeah.
into like, man, if I could break it into a day and have that guy on site 1 to 3 days, because let's face it, we're all kind of in this business because we like to do something different
Yes.
Yeah.
every day. And so if you have the guys there and they're there for 2 months on the
Right.
same job, it gets stale for
That's
a
a
lot
very
of
good point.
Yeah.
I
lot of
think the problem
contractors.
is that a lot of people, they really want to fix it and forget it. They want to put one guy on it. Oh, he's going to handle the whole thing, and that's just not how it works.
It isn't.
Yeah.
And no, and it's a lazy way. Now, if I was doing that, and I had to be there because I didn't know these guys very well. So I
Exactly.
was, I was
Time-consuming.
doing basically studs up. Like we weren't doing foundation or roof, but everything else down to the studs
Yeah.
in 14 days. And to run a project like that, they're not big. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot houses.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I was stacking contractors.
Yeah.
And so remember that when you're hiring guys. And I know, like, oh my God, 90% of them are like, I can do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because they
I-
don't want to miss out on a job.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not. They got to stay busy all the time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of over-promising and under-delivering
delivering.
that goes on. And also construction reveals the worst sides of human nature. So human nature is easy way out every time. And in fact, you have to fight human nature almost every day. Just to get out of bed, you're fighting gravity to get on your own 2 feet, right? And then you got to be
I didn't really
disciplined.
think about it that
Yeah,
way.
you got to
Yeah.
do whatever you got to do. I mean, whether it's down to eating right and hitting the gym and getting exercise, getting good sleep, staying disciplined, none of that's easy. Construction reveals that right away because it pairs men and materials, so effort and then the raw materials. And
Yeah.
so you've got to be there holding them accountable.
I swear to God, I think if I was a contractor, I'd be scared shitless to have you. I'm like, he's going to be showing up. I'm going to definitely be there early because I don't want to. I'm
Hey, I
like, look
wouldn't-
at this guy. I'm like, he's got
Yeah.
like I can't even put my arms around his bicep. I mean,
if they'd like to step into, if they don't
Yeah.
do their job and they want to
You
step
wanna
into
step-
the linen closet,
you want to
yeah.
step outside and we
That's
can
right.
we can discuss
Work
this
this.
That's
like
the
men.
rugby angle, man. 100%. Yeah,
I know
no.
I could, maybe eventually pull that off.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go follow Patrick McNamara on Facebook and start throwing around sandbags and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You
I
can
know.
get there.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to like beef up so I
Yeah.
can like be intimidating when
No,
I go
you know
out to
what?
the site.
You know what the most intimidating thing is? It's that Zelle payment. So if it's
Yeah.
coming on time, they don't want to let you down. You could be as big and mean, as intimidating as possible. I've seen some of the best investors in the world. They're the most organized, and they use that dollar as the biggest incentive.
Yep.
And man, they move mountains with money.
Well, and I really like the tip today as far as the incentive that you put in there for your contractors,
yeah.
where
No, I
you
think that's
just,
brilliant.
you finish early. Hey, guess what? I'm going to pay you half of, what
the savings.
Yeah, half of the savings.
Yes.
That's huge.
It's
that
really-
right there.
it's
That's
huge. I mean,
huge.
seriously,
like
that is a great way to incentivize them.
Yeah.
Also, here's 15 grand. Here's
Yep.
the budget, 15 grand. Go out and I'd be a little worried on what materials they're coming up with, but
Well, like he said, it's the raw
Here's-
stuff.
I mean-
they're not picking out the.
Yeah,
But I also
finishes.
know, like, I had no budget on a rehab once, and I advertised that I needed a bedroom of carpet done, and guys were coming off of, and I had like 4 different bedrooms, all 4 were different colored carpet, and guys were taking remnants from their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that stuff was just going in the trash
Happens a lot.
anyways.
Yeah. If you're on a small flip, I almost guarantee you can get a bunch of the raw materials for way undervalued. Let's not steal material. That's super bad
No.
karma. But there's a bunch of waste that goes on the higher corporate jobs.
Well, and they're like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? I'm told to dump it,
Right.
but it's actually in their shed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so keep in mind too, a lot of guys do have you asked me at the beginning, I do call all my guys dedicated subcontractors, but these salary guys who work Monday to Friday, they want to work on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So do you need people on your flips all week to get them done on time? Yeah, you do. But could you have the carpet guys come in and bring carpet from another job on a Saturday and
Saturday.
Sunday? Yes. Tile
Absolutely.
guys.
And
yes.
you pay them
Absolutely.
$100 cash, they're gonna carpet a
Yes.
small bedroom for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you just go, hey. And I've actually got it in my cell phone still if I ever need it. here's their number, and hey, this
Absolutely.
guy provided $100 a room carpet.
Yeah.
Here. Now
Carpet you can
again,
get cheap. Yeah.
you got to have laminate down your hallway.
Right.
Obviously, you can't connect. You know.
But you can do you can do all of the pre-engineered in a small flip in 2 days.
Yeah.
And they could bring it all in, or the vinyl plank, or just whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, and then also another good tip was you see somebody doing contract work in a property.
Yeah.
Because I look at properties anyway, if somebody's flipping something, I'm curious, just being on the realtor side of things, just seeing what's going in, seeing what's going on.
Busy
but
people
also,
get things done, man.
Also, that's how I picked up my last contractor, and I've used him a ton, referred him out a ton. Him and his crew are fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's because I walked into a job, and I looked at what they were doing, and I was like, okay, this is pretty.
You bet.
It's pretty
good.
it's spot on.
I
It
like
looks
it.
good.
Networking.
And I knew that they were showing up because it was in an area I was working on a regular basis. I knew they were showing up every week.
You bet.
I could see what they were doing.
Absolutely.
So, that's a firsthand.
Subcontractor networking is so important to being a successful real estate investor. What about next door? I know a lot of people find contractors off next door. There's some communities that are more active in next door than others, but you can find good guys who are one-off guys, right? So if you have to go find someone on Google, like a big service company, you're going to spend 200% more than you should.
Yep.
You got to be finding the guys who are third and fourth tier who you would never find online.
Right.
And then it's also, I think, always important to ask them if they're insured because, okay, this is an issue, and getting a liability waiver signed by people who are on your job sites is going to be important. Just always, again, be your own best advocate.
Absolutely.
When you're flipping.
The other great place to find them, Home Depot.
Yeah, sure.
What are you looking for? You're looking for a plumber?
Right.
Go hang out in the plumbing section.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one tip that we've mentioned again and again, and I just want to mention before we wrap things up, is if you're completely new and you don't know what a job can cost, you can go into Home Depot or Lowe's and you can go into that service department and go, look, I'm looking at this many square feet and this is the kind of flooring that I want to go in there. How much would that cost? Now, granted, that's going to be at retail and you want it to come under that, but they can tell you what materials are, they can tell you what they would charge, and that's going to be more than what you actually want to spend because you're going to try to get the contractors on your own, but at least it gives you some perspective.
You know, the guys at the Pro Desk at Home Depot, a lot of them are really good dudes. I know a ton of them by name. I mean, this isn't a Home Depot infomercial, but Lowe's, same thing.
Yep.
84 Lumber, same thing. Floor and Decor, same thing.
Yep.
The Seconds and Surplus, they know tons of contractors. They see the same guys over and
Over
Hey,
and
who
over.
do you know that could put this,
Well,
this cabinetry
in hanging out at
in?
Floor and Decor, I mean, anytime I'm there and I'm picking up tile, I'll get 3 business cards
You bet.
standing in line to pay.
Absolutely.
Now, honestly, if somebody's giving you their card like that, okay, they're hungry and
They're a hustler.
Yeah,
they got
they're
ambitions.
they're a hustler
Yeah.
and they want work, and
Right.
those are the guys you want. You want
Yes.
the hungry guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
The hungry guys, but also who communicate. So what I would do if I had those 3 cards is I'd wait till about 9 p.m. and then I'd text all 3 and see who texted me back first.
Yeah.
Because I know that guy's the most ambitious guy. And I want the sharks on my job. 'Cause
Right.
Yep.
they're the ones who are going to finish fast, save me half, and then they get the other half.
Right.
You know? So,
But I also want the guys to go to bed early.
you bet.
Go to bed early. Get
Good
get up
guys.
early.
You
Good
Behaving,
guys.
Absolutely.
you're not bailing
The
them out.
family man.
Yeah, not
The
bailing them out of
family
jail.
man.
No
That's
3
not-
a.m. calls, man.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Well, that's been a lot of information today. Thanks
Bunch.
for coming on,
My
Jess.
pleasure. Yeah, it's fun times.
Now,
Absolutely.
tell
Thanks for
everybody
having me.
who isn't familiar with you, you've got a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
you've got a Facebook page. Go
You
ahead
bet.
and let everybody know how to find you.
Subscribe or look me up on YouTube, just Jess Marshall. Also Instagram, Jess from the Northwest, and you can also email me anytime live at autographconstruction.com.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, and we're Real Estate Divas. I'm Jay Lee Thompson with Texel Real Estate.
And what are you looking for, Jay Lee?
Well, I'm still looking for buy and holds in Arlington right now. So if you have any tips, feel free to hit me up, Facebook, Instagram, email me.
And if you're a new realtor.
Or new realtor, yeah. And actually that is all across Texas because I'm a member of every single board or every single area, not every board because some overlap, but all over Texas. So I've got agents in Houston, I've got agents in Austin, San Antonio, Corpus. So if you're looking for a new broker.
Awesome.
And Kristen.
And buy and holds in Arlington.
Yeah.
I'm Kristen Gerst. I am the owner of Capricorn Mortgage Investments. I buy owner finance mortgage notes, and I am looking to buy a ton right now. So if you have an owner finance mortgage note, pretty good interest rate, 9 or 10% in the great state of Texas, I would be a buyer for you. Needs to be performing. A lot of things right now are not performing. Sorry if you made a deal during COVID. We'll revisit that going down the road. But yeah, if you've got a performing mortgage note, I am desperately wanting to buy it.
Well, and also you're doing new classes.
I am.
Yeah.
I've got my note group. So where we're learning how to invest in mortgage notes, and instead of getting the foreclosure after it's already been foreclosed on, I'm teaching individuals how to go and buy those non-performing notes direct from banks. So if you're interested in signing up for the note group and being a part of that, let me know.
And I know it doesn't sound super sexy, but notes are kind of sexy. So
notes are, I know. I'm like, I mean, look at me, and I love to invest.
Look at that. Y'all have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us. Please list any questions, hit us up. We'll be happy to answer, and Jess will be chiming in if you have any questions for Jess. Thanks, you guys.